Hello and welcome to another episode of Senior Spot. I'm Jenn Quinn, your host, and it's really interesting. Our whole introduction is beautiful pictures and people and families, and really a picture is worth 1,000 words, and there's nothing I love more than looking back at memories through pictures. So I am so delighted today to have Catherine Pfau of Catherine Pfau Photography here to talk to us about an amazing sort of niche that she has with intergenerational photographs, and she's here to tell us all about what that is. So welcome, Catherine.
Thank you, Jen. It's great to be here.
Well, as you're going to walk us through these beautiful photographs behind us, and tell us really kind of every photograph has a story, and it's just wonderful to be the storyteller that you are through photography.
Right.
So, what's your background? How did you get into this? How did you get from starting to this amazing level of talent?
Well, I've always liked photography, and I've always been the family portrait taker and the picture taker of the group. But I have had several careers. I used to be a teacher, and more recently I was working at Boston University Alzheimer's Disease Center in Alzheimer's research. So I was there for many years, and I loved it. I thought it was just such important work, and I loved working with older people and for older people. And I left that job 3 years ago, and I decided that I was going to be a newborn photographer.
Mm-hmm. Which, of course, look at that little gem. Really, look at that baby. How could you not love that? The hair that everybody dreams of.
Right, I know. And it was great. I love working with newborns and families of newborns. But I realized something was missing from that picture, because because I'm a little older, I'm a grandma myself.
Mm-hmm. And I know you're going to walk us through some of your beautiful family pictures of your own family.
Yeah. So I realized how important it is not just to take pictures of newborns, but that newborn comes into the world, they're part of a family, and they're part of a multi-generational family if they're lucky. And they have grandparents and perhaps some great-grandparents. And every child, I think, deserves to know that who their grandparents are, who were their ancestors.
Sure.
And that's why I just realized that, wow, it's so important to have these pictures. And quite often the grandparents and the great-grandparents are the ones who get left out of the pictures. Mm-hmm. It's usually about the young family,
Sure.
which, not that that's not important,
but nobody would be there if it wasn't for the originators.
Exactly. They're the founders of the whole group.
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's why I realized that, wow, it's just so important. And what a beautiful gift to give to your grandchildren and great-grandchildren and great-great-grandchildren in the future, to have a portrait of you with them. And even if the child is 2 years old, when that child is 30 or 40, to look back at that time and say, wow, those are my grandparents.
Absolutely.
And they may not be around, but yeah.
And I think of the opposite too, where I look at a picture of the middle where you shared before we started that this was a surprise 80th for this lovely woman that's in the center of the picture. And how amazing for her to get to look at that and say, this is what I created with the man, the love of my life, and how this all kind of came together. And
yes.
I am an absolute sucker for pictures. I just I just think that they are so important. And it's interesting because when I first met you, and then I was able to see how it transformed to this type of specialty. And I think back to my Nana's 90th birthday party, which, we had a photographer come and all different pictures, everybody, all the grandchildren and then the kids and then each individual family, and there's all the different arrangements.
Right.
And of course, I look back in the pictures now and wish I didn't have a haircut like that, but that's another story. But, that's where, I look at it and say, wow, that was such a gift to have that. And ironically, it always marks something in time. And that day, that night was the night I met my husband 24 years ago.
Wow.
So I'll always remember that I went to Nana's 90th party, had these pictures taken. So there's always some sort of association, and typically we try to remember being associated with something good.
That's right. If nothing, even just taking the picture, to have everybody get together like that and dress up a little bit maybe, and look back. And again, if a child is 2, they're going to say, oh, I was 2, I remember. And the pictures kind of become your memories too.
They do. And, and as someone, both of us, having a lot of experience in the background where you were working with, the research for Alzheimer's and, families and patients, and that's something that is, a specialty area of ours as well, is that we know that those can be the best gifts. Besides music, pictures and reminiscing can be really critical in the well-being of a person. So there's so much to it. It's more than just, how adorable somebody looks. It really does encompass a lot of very healthy living types of things that you need as you move on through your life.
I know, yeah. And
so, I look at these settings and I think, oh my goodness, there's outside, there's inside, there's, it's how, so tell me about the locations. And obviously you probably have a studio location. This looks more like a studio shot, correct me if I'm wrong.
Actually, this was on a porch.
No, it was? How did you make that happen?
I had people in the back holding the black bag.
That's awesome. Well, because then the focus becomes the men and the baby and the skin, and you take away the clothing, because so many people think that the clothing is what makes, I know with my kids, I used to put clothes out, take pictures of the clothes to see how that would look, and then before I put them on the kids. I mean, it's ridiculous, but it's what I did. But that is fantastic. So tell me more about your locations. Do you have a physical location that you have as a studio, and then how do you decide with families what the best place would be to to capture their photo?
Right, so that's a very important question, because to me, I always want to do what the client wants, and I want to create something that they're going to love and that's really meaningful for them. So that's my first question, is how do you want to be photographed?
Okay.
And what's important to you? Who do you want with you? Where do you want to be photographed? And here's your options. We can do it at your home or a house where a party is located. For instance, this porch.
that I can't get over. I mean, that's incredible.
Or my studio, that I have a shared studio right in Westford on Broadway Street, right across the street from you.
Yeah, in the beautiful mill on Broadway.
Right, right, that big old building. Yeah.
No, and it's a great space, I'm sure, too, to be able to have
to come up sometime.
Elevated ceilings, and I'm sure the lighting and everything probably is ideal.
Right, yeah. So it's a great space, lots of fun. And I also do outdoor photographs. This one was done at the Wayside Inn. And
in the fall, I see.
This was actually November, and as you can see, there's not much color. We were hoping for more color, but it was late in the season. But I still like the effect of the leaves.
I do
and
too.
the
It looks like they're in a leaf pile having a good time.
Right, right.
It's great.
Yeah, and it was a surprise party for her 80th birthday, and people came from all over the country. And she was just tickled. It was great.
Oh, you could tell. I mean, she's beaming. Even her husband is beaming even more. So he must have been happy that I don't know, maybe he was part of pulling off the surprise for her. I'm not sure.
Right, yeah. But it was fun. And here's another one. This is a 95-year-old woman who is very, very active, gardens, cooks, but she doesn't leave her home so much anymore. Yep. So we did this in her backyard.
She has the magic potion for how to age beautifully.
Incredible woman, yeah. And it's the other thing is so much fun for me to meet people and hear the amazing stories of the older people. Yeah. I love it, yeah.
Well, and I would imagine too, with some people, they really want the story of the background. Maybe it's a yard that is special to them. But I particularly love that one of the woman and the 95-year-old woman and her daughter, because it absolutely has nothing to do with the background. It's almost muted, and it's really focused on how crisp it is on them.
Right, and just their relationship and how they care for each other. So the daughter really wanted this. It was something very special to her. And the other, before you, I do go to nursing homes and assisted living facilities.
Now tell us, I mean, I can guess why you would do that, but tell us why that's helpful, and describe to the audience, why would that be helpful? Why would you go there? It's not exactly the most aesthetically beautiful place for a photograph, but why would you do that? How is it helpful?
Well, because I think, and I think families think, that people are in assisted living places and nursing homes, and they're still part of the family. They're still the grandparents. They're still the elders. And sometimes they have a lot of trouble getting out of there. They have walking difficulties, or they may have dementia. And I have gone into nursing homes and worked with the staff there. The staff has to be, they're always very helpful and amazing. And one in particular, this was a memory care unit. And I set up, they had a Thanksgiving feast for all their families, and I set up a little corner, and we did family portraits. And all these people had dementia, and every one of them looked amazing. It was really an incredible time.
Yeah.
It was wonderful.
You know,
yeah.
So it's the gift of being able to come to someone if they're unable to, you know, to be as mobile, to get around to different places.
Exactly.
But, you know,
yeah.
that's also their home. You know, where
Right.
people have to remember, you know,
Right.
you're helping people. That is their home. It might be different from the traditional home they may have been in for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years, but it's really more about, you know, that is their home, and you're going to their home, and that's where they're most comfortable. And especially folks with
Absolutely.
dementia,
Right.
that's the environment they're comfortable in, because otherwise going to, you know, a different setting could really be unnerving, and that's the whole opposite effect that you want
Oh,
when you're
exactly.
getting a picture.
Exactly, yes. I want people to feel comfortable. I think people sometimes equate having their photograph taken like going to the dentist. It's a terrible experience.
You know, it is. You want to look just right, and you want to
Right.
feel good,
And-
and you want the outcome to be
Right.
you know, usually people have higher expectations than what's realistic. It's probably bringing the expectations down to reality for people. Of what
Right.
you're going to be
Still,
looking
it's a
like.
fun experience. It's, you know, I make it fun. It's always.
Well, you're a fun person, so
Yeah.
that comes through. And even in the different types of, you can see here that there's all different styles. There's a variety.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes, you know, I see, you know, photographers, or, you know, that they get their sort of niche within their own, you know, even their own style of, well, this is how this person shoots. This is, I'm watching the show Parenthood on Netflix because I fell off the wagon and wasn't watching it. And one of the characters, he's a photographer, and he, you know, is very set in his ways, and wants to only photograph in the studio. You know, so I love the fact that there's such variety, and that you're going to be able to, you know, meet their comfort level, because, like you said, they think like it's going to the dentist. You know, so you have to keep people comfortable. In the
Exactly,
environment.
exactly. And usually after a photo shoot, people are relaxed and they say, oh, this isn't so bad. This was great. We had a great time.
Yep.
And I'll bring toys for the kids and bubbles and.
Well, and you know, because you have, I mean, in the bottom, of course, we have this beautiful picture of your twin granddaughters. But,
Right.
you know, that kind of brings me to the next question is, you know, obviously, you know, just your own experiences in seeing what photography does and helps people. But how has your family influenced you in terms of this career that you've created?
Well, another good question. My dad always took a lot of pictures, not necessarily of people. He did some of people, but other things too. And but we always watched the slides when we were little. It went from the slides to digital. First for prints, and the great thing about prints is they last a long time. And I have pictures of him from when he was a baby.
Right. And then now you have a picture of him with
Exactly.
it's your brother,
Yes.
and then your nephew, and now your great
That's
nephew.
right, yes,
I mean,
yes.
that is
I know,
priceless.
I know, yeah.
He must really, you know, this must make, you know, this
Yeah.
makes the person very proud of what you're doing
Right.
to capture that.
Yeah, so he always, until he just moved into assisted living last month, but before this, and he wants to put this back up again, and I call it the ancestor wall.
Ah,
So
that's a
he
great
had,
name.
in our living room, he has pictures of his grandparents, my mom's parents, and her grandparents, and as many as he could, and they're all like, every time I went there, it was just like, wow, you know, oh, she looks like so-and-so, my cousin. Or, you know, you really start to identify with these people and know who they are.
Oh, yeah.
And so it was really a focal point for me.
So he was a big
And
inspiration for you to follow.
absolutely.
So he must have been so pleased when you decided to,
Absolutely.
you know, to make this a new career for yourself.
Right. Well, I'm in charge of all the family pictures now.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
well I think yes. I mean that goes without saying. I think, but you know,
Right,
and on
right.
the topic of families,
Yes.
let's just say that, you know, families aren't always the easiest or the most cooperative to deal with. So you know, when you're showing up and you're doing this, you're going to have to use some sort of tools to be able to get everybody on the same page. So you're very diplomatic, you're very level-headed. I know you in that sense. You know, you get a group of 20 people and people think things should be done a certain way. I'm sure that you have to sometimes take
right,
control
yes,
of the situation
absolutely,
from the
yeah.
professional point of view.
Right,
Which
right,
a lot of
yes.
times you have the strong-willed people in your family and you think, oh good, if Catherine can get them to kind of do what her vision is and to be
Right.
able to figure it out, then then so-and-so is not going to manipulate and monopolize the whole picture.
Right.
People
yes,
need
we
that.
have to, and I usually bring an assistant with me, so that helps. They can work on some of the details, and I'll work on putting people here and there and posing them. And, probably the hardest ones are the 1-year-olds. 1 to 2 is a tough age.
Absolutely.
But, we usually manage to pop them in here and there and get a good shot of
animals
everybody.
too.
Animals are great,
in different
yes.
pictures. It's very difficult and almost magic to get the animal to actually look, and then sometimes the animals actually look like they're smiling.
I
So
know.
that's pretty great.
A lot of people like to include their pets.
You bet. It's part of the family.
It is. I know. So people request that, and I love to do it. It's really fun. It adds a little fun to the whole thing.
It does. Yeah. It helps to lighten things up, I'm sure, if people are taking themselves too seriously.
And many times the dogs are better than the kids.
The dogs might actually listen because they're going to get a treat, and they're programmed to know how to
you can
how
bribe
to do
them,
this.
right?
So tell us a little bit about how you structure, like, a sitting fee, or how does that work? I'm sure it's not one size fits all.
Right,
and,
exactly.
How does that work? I pick up the phone and I say, we're having a surprise, party for, my mother-in-law. We'd love to do X, Y, and Z. This is the location.
Yeah.
How does that work? I mean, with a newborn, you're typically, it's, the parents that are the consumers.
Right.
But then if you have, a big family, how do you work that?
Yeah, so the most important part of the photo shoot is the consultation ahead of time. And I always like to meet people ahead of time if I can. Sometimes we do it over the phone, but if it's at an outdoor location or somebody's home, I'll go and visit.
Excellent.
So I can check it out and get to meet them. And usually it's one person who's kind of in charge of the whole thing.
Yeah, you need a quarterback. You need the quarterback, because then there's too many players on the field.
Exactly. So I'll meet with that person, and we'll kind of plan the strategy. We'll talk about where it's going to happen, when, what they're going to wear, what's, all the logistics. I like to know some of the family relationships too.
You mean the dynamics, like who can stand next to who and maybe not. And yes, those are important.
Today there are some interesting families. Not all families are the same. So there's interesting dynamics. So we have to always be considerate. And so it's a lot of fun learning about people, meeting people, and so we have the planning strategy.
Okay, so that's phase 1 is planning.
Yes,
the consultation ahead of time.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And then we'll do the photo shoot wherever it is. And I always get there early. I prepare everything, get my lights ready.
Yes, you are a very prepared person. When you came in today to the studio, I mean, having the easels and having the photographs and everything, this is the most wonderful backdrop of all of our shows.
Oh, well, thanks.
It's just beautiful. I mean, seeing all these happy people.
Right.
So you come very prepared. You get yourself all set up.
Right.
Okay.
And then we go ahead and then we put people, and I try to make it very fun and painless, and depending on how many breakdowns we have. We'll probably start with the big family.
Before everybody starts to melt down.
That's right, absolutely. And I have fake rocks that I bring with me for posing. So I don't know if you can see this picture on the bottom here. They're sitting on very natural looking rocks.
Would never know those are fake rocks.
So I bring them with me. I do come prepared.
That's a great option. I love it.
And it's pretty fun because I can pick up the rock and people look at me like wow, she's strong.
Yeah, Wonder Woman. There she is.
Right.
She can do it all.
Right, yeah. So then after the photo shoot, I'll meet with the people again, maybe a week later, and then I'll show them the pictures. I don't have an online gallery or anything like that because I find I like to talk to people and I like to help them pick out what's best for them, what size wall hanging they might want, do they want a book, really talk to them about their needs and what's going to make them happy.
And that must be greatly appreciated because different photos, you get so overwhelmed. You're sent 150 photos and 10 of them start to look the same, and then it just gets, you get blurry-eyed. So it's nice to be able to have that, guidance.
I can help them.
One picture, I assume, in a smaller frame would probably maybe not look as good in a larger frame. So I'm sure you can give that guidance.
If it's somebody in a nursing home, they might just want a little picture.
Sure.
So it's really what they want. But if somebody has a big wall, an 8x10 is going to look a little funny. So it really just depends on the situation and what the people want. So so I guide them through the whole process, and it takes a little while, but they get something that's going to be a family legacy, a family, something that they can hand down to generations and be really something important. As we were moving my dad out from his house this summer, we were looking at pictures, and it's so much fun to look at old pictures. And my sister and I were there, and he said, you know, these are like gold.
They are.
You know?
They are. I mean, it's priceless. It's like gold.
Exactly.
And it's one of those things that absolutely slows down the process of moving. Like, you might as well build, for me, you might as well build in a couple of extra days just because I'd need to look through them.
I know.
You know?
I know. Yeah.
But, you know, usually I ask the guests, most of the guests, you know, tell me about a success story. But, you know, what I would love to do is hear about some of your favorite photographs, you know, whether they're here in the studio right now, or just what are some of your favorite stories that have come with photographs? Because photographs usually, like we talked about, tell a story. And, you know, unless you know the story, you're just looking at a photo. So
right, exactly. So
tell
I'll start with this one. I have another one to tell you about too, but this is my own family, and this is my dad, who's 92 years old. He's the one who just moved with my brother and his son. And we have a family reunion every year in Virginia at my brother's house, so we always do a family portrait. But this was special because I had 4 generations of men, which is kind of unusual.
Ah, yes, because a lot of times the focus is on the maternal.
That's
side.
right.
Yep.
Right. So I really wanted this picture, and my dad is not the best person to be photographed. He makes silly faces, and
right. Well, but this is great. They're focused on the baby. They don't have to look at the camera at all.
So to me, it's really meaningful, and
it is for that baby too.
I know. Yes.
The way that the shirts just blend in with the background is really, I mean, that's artwork. I mean, somebody like myself couldn't possibly take a picture like that, you know, because a lot of people say, well, sure, you can just take a picture, but I couldn't take a photograph like that. I wouldn't understand the composition and how to do it, and they jump right out of the canvas.
Right,
you know?
And then my other favorite picture is a small picture, and this is one where, this was several years ago, my mom was still alive then. I was in the backyard. I was just getting into professional photography. I thought, well, I'll take a picture of my parents.
Sure.
Well, it wasn't so easy.
They give you a hard time.
I had them on a bench, and they were just awkward and silly. And after about an hour, all right, I give up. You know, this is what I have. And they said, okay. And they had some corn that we had a big family dinner. So we'll just start shucking the corn. So they had this bag of corn out. They started, and I'm going, oh my God, there's the picture.
Right.
And it was just so
because it was natural?
Natural and comfortable, and it was them.
Yeah.
And
that is so true. I mean, when you pose for a picture, it's typically not. It's not natural, number one, but number two, you're not getting the same vibes from it.
Right, yeah. And that picture has really become important because my mom did pass away about 5 years ago, and my dad was looking for a picture once, and there it was, and so, yeah.
And there's a funny story behind it.
That's right.
There's there's usually a funny story or sentimental story or something that's special that's worth remembering.
That's right.
You know, and and the best shots are the ones you don't necessarily intend to take. I would imagine you found that as a photographer.
Right, yeah. Sometimes after a session, people just kind of like, especially newborn sessions, I notice.
Yeah, well, you know, new parents are a little uptight. We not have a lot of sleep.
We do the newborn, and then after, the mom will hold the baby, and I'll say, oh, there it is.
There it is. Money shot right there. Absolutely, because that's a natural mother-child moment.
Right, yeah.
You know, you can't fake that.
Right,
that's for
I
sure.
know. So it's pretty special, and I love the connections between the generations. And I really think it's so important. I want to make it a point to include grandparents in my pictures, and I don't want them to be...
And mothers, too. I find as a mother
that
yes. I'm not in the pictures, which is really kind of fine by me, but eventually down the road, my kids might have wished that I was in the pictures.
Oh, they will.
The mums or the maternal... women or side of the family usually are the ones that aren't in the pictures.
Right, you're so right, and I have another story about that.
Okay, go ahead. You'll tell us that. I love stories. Go ahead.
Well, I just think it's so important, especially for women, to get into pictures, because I can't tell you how many times that people say, oh, well, I'm too fat. I'm too fat.
Yep.
You know?
And they find a reason
and,
to not be in the
and,
picture.
you know,
Life's
something
too short.
It is. You never know. And the moms always have an excuse, but there really can't be an excuse, because in 20 years or even 10 years, 1 year,
Right.
the kids are going to need that picture.
Absolutely. I mean, there
And
are
it's so critical.
definitely not enough pictures of my mom before she passed away. Definitely not,
I
you know,
know.
and they're few and far
Yeah.
between, and then actually, you know, then you really covet them, and then you're really nervous about losing them. So
I know.
the more pictures you have, the less chance of losing any pictures.
Absolutely. So it's really critical for everybody to exist in photos. Yeah.
Now, do you follow that rule yourself? If you're the family photographer, how in the world do you get in the pictures? That's what I want to know. Do you
Well,
find a way to get in the pictures?
I do.
Okay,
Yes.
good.
I get everything ready and then I run in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's great. It's because, you know, that wouldn't be very fair, and I'm sure all the rest of the people in your family wouldn't want you to
right.
be non-existent in the
Right.
photographs as
Right.
well.
Or I'll have somebody else just snap the shutter and I'll, you know, be
So
in the
tell
picture,
us
yes.
about a few things that you have in the books right now. And I know that holidays are coming up, and you know, things like, well, I shouldn't say that so soon, but you do start to see things in the stores. But you know, what are some of the things that are on your calendar? Some different examples of families and kind of where the locations are, and maybe it's a tradition. You know, what do you have on the books that
Well,
that's
I have
happening?
some fun fall. Fall in New England, I think, is the best season. The colors are amazing, and it's just such a great time to be outside. The
And people
weather's-
aren't sweating like crazy.
Right.
I mean, that
Summer
helps.
tends to be, you think, oh, summer's so relaxed, but it's not. Everybody's away. They have vacation plans. They, you know, company. So it gets to be crazy.
It does.
But fall, everybody's back into their routine, back to school, which is great. And the season here is just beautiful.
Yeah.
So I have a bunch of fall outdoor portraits coming up, which is a lot of fun.
Good.
And families, I have one woman just wants a picture of her daughter, her two little girls for their grandparents.
Nice.
So it's a mix of things. Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
yeah.
you know, and it's, I think, what's interesting is that you have, obviously there are, you know, a number of talented photographers out there, but I think what's wonderful about this is this is sort of a niche. This is an area that you are really passionate about. You know, instead of being a photographer where you're taking weddings and you're taking senior pictures and you're taking all of these different things, what you bring is the talent in the niche and really the personal experience behind it, of experiencing doing it for your own family and feeling passionate about it and wanting to create that story. I mean, that's from, you know, having known you for a while now, I think that's what comes through, is that you want to paint a picture of someone's story, and everybody's story is unique and individual and special. And so I love that you've focused in on this area, obviously, because I see that it doesn't exist enough. So I'm just so happy that people will be, you know, be paying attention to the need and the want for this type of specialty photography. So Catherine Pfau of Catherine Pfau Photography, doing intergenerational, am I using the right term? Intergenerational photographs for your family. So I'm sure you're probably going to hear from some local families around, because again, people love pictures. So thank you so much for coming on the show,
Thank you,
Catherine.
Jen.
This is wonderful talent.